When you produce seriously while you are still 16, 17, 14, you probably get frustrated all the time. You constantly hear stories about guys your age or even younger that achieve 100 times bigger success than you. From NLE Choppa going viral while 16 years old to 14 years old producer charting on Billboard. It seems like we are all doing something wrong, but the truth is different. I'm Mordalski and I will help you make your first K selling beats. To understand science behind those really young and also really successful guys, we need to talk about genetic predispositions, okay? There are things in life that really highly depend on your level of talent and your just level of good genetics for this thing. Definitely the best example of it is sport. Okay, sport and playing chess, which is also a sport. Generally, Usain Bolt wouldn't be the fastest man in the world with shitty genetics. Just like it or not, you can be great sprinter, you can be great chess player, you can be great in any sport, but to be literally one of the best, you just need some kind of genetics, and you will not be top 10 guys in the world if you have really bad genetics and you just have no certain physique for running, playing volleyball. Football is maybe a little different, but generally for most sports you got some kind of specific physique that will just give you unfair advantage. And it's okay, everybody has some kind of unfair advantage, but in different area of life, okay? On the other side of this spectrum are things that totally have nothing to do with talent, and in my opinion, and generally most people would agree that business has nothing to do with talent. You could say that you need some predispositions for good leadership, managing resources, maybe some intelligence, but generally a lot of people who made a lot of money through business, and also some celebrities, and also generally people who run more modern and also more old school businesses, they are often not really that intelligent. They are not that talented. They are really not that special. Really, when you dive into that and you look at those people, they are not the most talented in anything. Okay, even I read this book about Steve Jobs, Becoming Steve Jobs. This is, by the way, a really good book. You should read that. And generally, Steve Jobs wasn't the best engineer with software, with creating computers. Wasn't also the best leader at the beginning of his journey. He was kind of intelligent, but he wasn't the best in any area of life, but he was still able to become billionaire, build Apple, which is the most profitable organization in the human history. So business doesn't rely on talent that much. It is like this other side of the spectrum. So making music generally is definitely more towards sport than towards business, which means that genetics play a really great role in making good music. So let's take a look, and one of the most famous musicians in history, which is Mozart. Okay, Mozart definitely grinded a lot because he was playing piano till he was 4 or 5 years old, maybe younger. Okay, so yeah, it was his grind. He was grinding in 18th century, but yeah, we could call it a grind. If he wouldn't train piano and he wouldn't grind that thing, okay, we would not know him in these days. But also the real thing is that if I put the same amount of work as he did, and you and most of you still wouldn't be the Mozart, okay? You need this little touch of talent. You need to have this little thing that will set you apart from 99.99% of people, and you still need to take advantage of that. You need to use your talent. You need to still train really hard. You need to really grind hard, even if you're really talented, but you get really unfair advantage. The younger you are, the more advantage you get from your good genetics and from your talents, okay? That's why in sport, genetics is so key, because you are not gonna be top sport performer after you are 30. So you have no time to get this advantage back, okay? So that's why genetics is so important, because you have only 20 years to train to become the best. Then you're just too old. In music, luckily, we don't need to be that quick. If you achieve success, you can still become really popular if you're 40 years old musician, but we don't need it. But generally, those younger guys have this advantage usually because they are just fucking talented, okay? And they also put work in that, okay? I just looked at a few of those golden boys who really achieved big successes. They also played piano since they were 5 years old. We can't blame ourselves for not playing piano since we were 5, okay? If we didn't know at the point. But yeah, those guys were just, okay, so at first they had really good genetics for being talented in music. They were usually those golden boys who go Billboard randomly when they are really young. They just were good with instruments, they were with music from their, like, you know, since they were born. They also were pushed because of this by their parents and environment to play piano, to play violin and stuff like that. And that's why they just developed crazy musical skills before we even start thinking, before we all even knew about making beats and stuff, okay? But so yeah, I'm not saying that those guys just got lucky and are very talented and we cannot fight with them, but the sad truth is for us that yeah, they just got unfair advantage from life, okay? And we can't do much about it, okay? Because at first they are talented and they were pushed to grinding their musical skills before any of us even tried to think about grinding anything in life, okay? Those 14-year-olds charting on Billboard just have this kind of advantage, and we can't blame anyone for that. And we don't want to now get all sad and think, yeah, we had no chance. Because now let's talk about what should we do now, because we still can do that, okay? At first, you will observe this unfair genetic advantage in all areas of your life. And why I wanted to specifically talk to guys below 18 years old, because younger you are, the more genetics play, the bigger role genetics will play in things you will see around you. So if you're young, even if you train really hard, there are guys who just have genetically better physique. When you're 15 years old, you can go to the gym for like a year straight and you will look worse than guys who doesn't train at all, drinks beer and doesn't do anything, really. When you're like 14, 15, you may study for 8 hours a day and some guy who doesn't study at all will anyway outperform you. I see it all the time, okay? When you're young and you try to get girls, you try to really grind, do some looks maxing, fight with your acne, like, you know, do some mewing, okay? There are some guys who just don't give a shit and they will anyway get more girl than you when you are young, okay? Because grinding 1 year is not enough to outperform genetics. And now what is my point? If you are not golden boy in this one area of life, which is producing music and stuff, you shouldn't expect becoming top player in this game in 1 month or on 1 year. But in next years, that unfair advantage of those genetically better guys will just get smaller and smaller and smaller. Even if they grind that as hard as you, generally bigger you get, it's harder to get better when you are already good. So yeah, their growth will just objectively get slower while you are still worse, so you got, like, you know, more space for improvement in your life. It's hard, for example, to Kanye West to become more popular because he already hit kind of the roof of the popularity. But we are not popular, so for us getting 100 new followers on Instagram is like getting more popular. And that's why we even with our worse at the moment from those kind of guys, we still are growing faster. And in next year, in next decade, we will get to their level, okay? And the good thing is, well, in this case, if we turn 26, it's not like our career in sport is going to end soon. No, we're actually just warming up, okay? We still can produce, we still can make music, we still can make a lot of crazy stuff, like, you know, a lot of rappers. A lot of rappers make it, and a lot of producers make it while they actually get pretty old, okay? I know more about rappers because they are more transparent with their story. So, for example, we got NLE Choppa, who blew up when he was 16. We got Lil Pump, who blew up while he was 17, really like made billion of streams, literally. There were this kid Tiki. Generally, there are a lot of guys who blew up before turning 20, really like becoming really popular and stuff. And we also got those producers who go on Billboard while they are still in their teens. But now let's take a look at these crazy examples, okay? So I made a list. Kanye West made College Dropout, which was his first album, and he then blew up, obviously, after that, but he was 26. Kanye West dropping College Dropout was 26. Future actually blew up after like more than 10 years of grinding his music career, and he was 28, okay? No, actually, Future was 27 when he really blew up. I'm not sure what was like, because he had like definitely a few phases of blowing up, but he became like real hot shit rapper when he was 27, and he was like more than 10 years in the game. 21 Savage, you definitely know 21 Savage. He was after 21 when he blew up. He was 23, okay? All those guys are still in the game, still are rich, still making money, still making good music. And I also love this story of Tony Coles, for example. So he's producer of Big X The Plug, and I just heard like really short part of interview with him that he generally, like, you know, he was already like, I guess, in his 20s. He was making beats, but was not able to go full time, so he was just working some 9-to-5s and producing beats. He was only working 9-to-5s and producing beats. And just one day when he was way past 20 years old, just Big X the Black blew up. And because he was his producer, he also blew up with these beats, with this music, and he is now kind of popular. He like charts on Billboard and stuff. And he was like in his 20s, he already like we could think that yeah, he had to go to his 9-to-5 job, he's done. It's no career for him because he has to work 9-to-5, and this producing will not take him anywhere. He should already do that because there are guys who blew up at 15 years old. No! He was way past 20. He even had to go to his 9-to-5s. We could think that yeah, his producing career ended. No, it just started, okay? He just had to grind this. And it should be inspiration for us. If you're not a next Mozart, your grind will not bring results tomorrow or in next month or even next year, okay? There are guys who will just outperform us even doing less work. Literally doing less work than us. They will anyway outperform us because they are better at the moment. But every year of our grind will make this gap in our skills smaller and smaller, and once we turn 20, like in few years from now, we will get to those, you will get to level of those guys who are just at the moment in better position. And I already see this in like era of life. When a few years ago I could still go to a gym, I could do stuff, and I still looked kind of ugly, and I wasn't really jacked, and people looked, even though I was training pretty hard with calisthenics, people looked the same as me or better than me. But now, yeah, people, when I'm like turning 20 soon, people start to get this fat belly. They are not that nice at the moment. Like their physique isn't like this really young guy physique, but they're gaining some fat, this skinny fat physique. So yeah. In looks maxing and generally in your physique, you will see this quicker. But yeah, also in your musical career, in your business, in your studying, in anything, you will see that those guys will be less and less, will be in less and less good position, okay? One day you will just get to their level because we will grow faster than them objectively. So your grind will not make you win with those guys tomorrow or next month, but if you stick to it for next months and years, one day you will get to this level and you will be not worse. So just don't worry about their unfair advantage, because you can just outwork them over time. By the way, if you want to make your first case selling beats online and you're really ambitious young producer, just go into first link in the description. This is my paid product. It is specifically on making your first case selling beats. You can also book a call with me through Instagram. So that's all. Bye.